Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. And I hope you're sitting down, because today on the channel, I want to talk about the myriad ways and reasons as to why you and me and many people you know aren't going to survive that long after it hits the fan. If you want to know why, you're probably going to die. Let me enlighten you. Let's get to it.
Hey buddy, you got a light? Hey man, you got a light?
So I want to start off today's video by ensuring you that this is not a self-aggrandizing video. I'm as guilty or have been guilty in the past of pretty much everything I'm going to talk about in today's video. One thing I've realized on YouTube is that the dumber my content is, the better it seems to do. And that is very demoralizing when it comes to me wanting to get people prepared for the worst that may come. Because unfortunately, we're more interested in amusing ourselves to death, titillating our adrenal glands, and doom scrolling until 3 a.m. We want the thrill of survival, but we don't want the responsibility that comes along with it, because let's face it, that's a lot of work. Today, everybody wants to do things the easy way. And I've never understood that mentality, because if you always want to take the easy way out, you're just going to make things harder on yourself in the future. Many people are simply not physically, mentally, and emotionally fit enough to be ready for the rigors of a world without electricity. Because everything that you had machines do for you is going to have to be done manually. What are you going to do when there's not somebody there to fix things for you? And you have to figure things out on your own. It's going to be very stressful for a lot of people. I like the quote from the movie The Edge, Anthony Hopkins. He says, "What one man can do, another can do." African boys would go and slap a lion as a rite of passage, or Aboriginal boys would have to kill a bear with a spear in order to prove their manhood. So if they can do it, then I guess the thinking is, why can't you? You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations constantly in life if you want to make any progress or grow at all. I mean, why would your body or your mind ever need to grow if there was no new challenges presented from day to day? This is not to say I don't enjoy a nice sit down and chill, but it's so easy to get caught up in that TikTok, slot machine, endless scrolling, dopamine seeking cycle where you're just watching mind-numbing trash for hours on end, accomplishing nothing, and you're just a consumer. So you have the 90% of people who aren't prepared. They're pretty much goners. You have the people who have an awareness of what might be coming, but they're fatalistic. So they think there's no point in preparing. And a lot of this is being perpetuated by authors of various books like Annie Jacobson's Nuclear War. She basically is of the belief that nuclear war is unsurvivable. So what's the point in even trying? Who would want to live in such a terrible world? The problem is that there's a good chance that you're probably going to survive, and you're going to be looking at your kids and your wife, who are looking at you, trying to find some sort of guidance on what to do next, and you are going to be dumbfounded, and you are going to be absolutely useless. Don't be fatalistic, because chances are you'll survive the initial blast. Whether you survive thereafter is something else altogether. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be the end of the world as we know it. If you are addicted to drugs and alcohol, you might as well just kiss your ass goodbye. Because when those withdrawal pangs kick in after the shizzy hits the fizzy, you are going to put yourself in really stupid situations. As for criminals, thieves, but as the saying goes, assholes get wiped. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the operator types. I'm worried about people who have combat experience. I'm worried about people in law enforcement. who are gonna go rogue. I'm worried about organized criminals. The ones who aren't a threat right now could very well become the biggest threat in the post-collapse environment. Many really good people are gonna get swindled after it hits the fan because they have no social skills. We live in a world where you don't have to go outside, you don't have to talk to people in real life. Most people lack street smarts, and unfortunately, you're gonna get swindled. You're gonna get taken for a ride. This is going to be the death of a lot of rural people as well, because most city folk, if you live in the inner city, downtown, you kind of know your way around people, you know? Even though you might be brainwashed and naive and ill-prepared, you still have street smarts. And that's gonna help you out in terms of knowing who to trust and who not to trust. When people want things, they can become incredibly, convincingly deceitful. If their survival depends on it, or if they need something, or if they tell themselves that they need something, don't think you won't be fooled, because you will. And the more prepared I get, the more scared I get. You know, when you start off with something, you go through that Goldilocks period, you know, between 3 months to the first 3 years of doing something new, where you feel like you're making constant progress and you're constantly getting better and you're seeing results every day. You can measure your results, right? But then at a certain point, and when you start to gain a mastery in a certain thing, it also comes with a humility that I don't know everything. If you have that mentality that you think, that you truly believe that you can go out there into the woods and survive, I want you to hold that, and I don't want to take that from you, because you know what? What one man can do, another can do. If you really truly put your mind to something, you don't despair, you work, you make the right decisions at every turn, anything is possible. Is it likely? No. Are most people just going to give up in that situation? Yes. We all have moments of weakness. I've been weak many times throughout my life. But it seems like some people are only alive because of the grid. When the shit goes down, Darwin takes over, and the big incubator is gonna stop functioning. And that's gonna be it. They didn't put in the work. If you don't put in the work now, you're gonna be working 100 times harder later. I used to do piecework with these hippies, tree planting. And they would always wanna end the day early and go home and party. And I'm like, if we stay out a couple extra hours, you know, you can party in the off season. You know, make a lot of money now while we still can. But you know, people don't see it that way. People are very short-sighted when it comes to this kind of stuff. Is that 4 or 5? Do I have one left? It's another reason why a lot of people are gonna die when shit hits the fan, is our memories have completely atrophied. Remembering directions, just having to use mnemonic devices. Most people don't know how to do that anymore, because everything is your phone. Your phone does all the work for you. How are we gonna survive without your phone? Tore up that center. All right, this time I'm gonna do one for real, for real. A lot of us, we just want to be entertained. We don't want to do the hard work. We'd rather amuse ourselves with bad news and doom scroll all night. And it's unfortunate, because when we try to show people what you have to do to live off grid and show you the process of becoming more self-reliant, there's a disinterest in the subject matter, because of course it's a big investment of time and energy. You know, my life would be a lot easier if all I did was talk about the World War III every single day and I never acted on anything that I said. But then of course I would not expect you to take anything I say seriously, if I wasn't genuinely living this life. This should be prerequisite for anybody that you're listening to for preparedness advice, is that they're actually trying to live the lifestyle. And I'm by no means an expert. I was a fantasy prepper for a long time. And by that I mean somebody whose plan amounted to going and living off the land in the apocalypse, because I thought, hey, I'll rise to the occasion. The truth is, you won't. You know, we talk a lot about how bad things are getting, but when you pair that with this lifestyle where you're actually growing things and you're creating things, it evens it out quite nicely for mental health especially. You know, this lifestyle is very rewarding. It is not just an insurance policy. It's a great life out here. And I think a lot of us have been sold this lie that you can only be happy living in the city. But I tell you, after working a long, hot day in the sun, sweating, gritty, full of sawdust, you come in at the end of the day and you sit down to that hot meal. You really enjoy it. But if you are just gluttonously consuming, going from one thing to the next, you lack any real appreciation for what you have.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.